to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Radio Show, only on Financial News and Talk. Now live in studio, your host, local and national real estate expert and consumer advocate, Ron Siegel.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries as we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take, how your family or business can benefit from current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Before we get into our intriguing content today, please join me in welcoming our featured guest and repeat offender, Lisa Dunn, Casabella Realty is with us. Welcome.
Well, thank you for having me. And yes, I am a multiple repeat offender.
Absolutely. We have a good time in here, so we're going to chat about, we never even know what we're going to chat about, but we find something to talk about all the time. But let me remind you, if you ever have any home or finance related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you. And you can reach out to me directly, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Just remember, that's a number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are no operators standing by. I am it. Guess my boys are a little quiet.
Quiet, numbskulls. I'm broadcasting.
They're a little sleepy. It's a Monday morning. While they do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan or plan to save you money, I personally work with you. Even if you don't have any needs today, save this number in your phone for future reference, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And I was looking at our celebrations of the day today. I'm not sure about the first one. National Lighthouse Day. I'm not sure about that one. Having beaten anorexia, I will go to National Raspberries and Cream Day today. That one, we will enjoy that one. But on a serious note, we can always say thank you. Here's one of the serious areas of our world, say thank you. And today, August 7th, if you're listening to us live, Ron Siegel Radio, ronsiegelradio.tv, today is actually Purple Heart Day. So we can celebrate Purple Hearts, thank our military men and women. Although, there is something to be said about Purple Heart. I am a big-time fan. But when it comes to military men, women, active, retired, reserves, celebrate them every day. That's just my personal motto. I stick with that one. And now, there are some people that tell me otherwise, and I just tell them, go get your own show. Basically, it's a pretty simple philosophy I have. I'm a simple guy. So thank you to our active, retired, reserve military, our law enforcement, firefighters, first responders. I say thanks to them every day. I hope you join me in that mission saying thank you. I know, Lisa, you're a big-time veteran fan.
Oh, that's what I do. That's what I do.
Absolutely. So we are on the same page on that one. We are looking at the Dow Jones Industrial Average right now as well. What's going on the Dow? So we're still seeing that one. Dow up just a little bit. We've been on a record pace. And the old story, sell in May and go away, hasn't been the case this year. Dow Jones Industrial Average up 11 this morning at 22,104. Great news on the Dow. Oil is down 75 cents per barrel. But then again, this is Taxifornia. So we're still at 296.1 per gallon of gasoline in Taxifornia. If you were looking at the national average, 234.7. So if I do my math quickly, it's about 61, 62 cents. If you need a lot of gas, if you're driving a big SUV or some of the bigger sports cars, you might want to head over to South Carolina to gas up. It's $2.09 a gallon there. So is that about 80 cents a gallon cheaper than we pay here in Taxifornia? Moving right along. U.S. 10-year Treasury, 2.257, down a little bit again this morning. I've told you I believe that we're going to probably go right around 190 on the 10-year Treasury. That means we should see a benefit to our interest rates. Just another one of those. If I knew all these things, if I was spot on these predictions and on these forecasts, I might not be in here doing a radio show every morning. There'd be a lot of people wanting to get the information that we had at the time. So we'll continue that conversation. I share it, I study it, I read it. Does that mean that I'm going to be 100%? No, but we try and get the right direction. We try to get the right trajectory for you, give you an idea of what you need to be doing. Once again, I would say the same exact thing as I've been saying for many, many years. If you have not already done something with your interest rates, if you're living in a house right now and you're still paying high interest, I would not count on those interest rates going significantly further. There's much more likelihood of interest rates going up than it is of them going down. So here's the issue when you start looking at those things. Take action today, because if they do go down significantly, you can still get in on the lower rates. That's not a problem. But if they go up, there's nothing you can do about it. You are out. So that's just a word of wisdom, just a little experience. I'm not saying that I'm wise. I've just been around an awful long time. Some people say I've been around way too long, but that is the issue. That's, again, my thoughts. Speaking of being around way too long, obviously some sad news in the world this morning if you are a baseball fan, especially if you are a California. Remember this one. I mean, you'll really know if you're old if you remember the California Angels. Yeah, then you might have, you're really old if you remember the Los Angeles Angels, and I barely remember that one. But then you've got the California Angels, Anaheim Angels. Now I don't even mention it because they're from that other city. But the 1979 American League Most Valuable Player died this morning. Don Baylor died this morning. Unbelievable. It was a very, very sad news. What do they say? Multiple melanoma, I think is what they said it was, but myeloma, multiple myeloma. I'm sorry about the misinformation there, but died this morning, 4:25 a.m. in Austin, Texas, is where that news came from. So it is very sad to hear about that one. It was fun watching Don Baylor. He played the game the right way, and from all accounts was a good guy off the field as well. Good leader, good role model. Our condolences go out to his family. Don Baylor, gone too soon, 68 years old. And then you look at the other side of the coin, and on this story, I am very, very happy. I'm glad to see this. I never wish ill on somebody. And I'm really happy to see that Colin Kaepernick is successful. He successfully kicked himself out of the NFL. He successfully lost a $10 million contract. He opted out of that. And now he's successfully unemployed. And I think that there's nothing wrong with that. That's what he wanted. He wanted to be a outspoken spokesperson or go out there and have his point of view known. And I think that's great that he's able to do that. I think the First Amendment is wonderful. I don't know that the First Amendment pays $10 million a year like he was getting from San Francisco. But I did notice that over the weekend, the Miami Dolphins had a need for a quarterback, and they decided to pay Jay Cutler, of all people, Jay Cutler, $10 million to be their quarterback after Ryan Tannehill had a season-ending knee injury. Now, he also gets $3 million in incentives while Kaepernick sits on the side. And it's a good word to use. It's very apropos saying that Kaepernick is sitting on the sidelines. Well, he can sit on the sidelines. He can wear his Fidel Castro jersey and his t-shirt as much as he wants. I wonder if he's getting any publicity for that. And I found it also fascinating. This is where America speaks. I saw this other story that came out in the media as well, that one of these sports writers in Indiana decided that he thought that it would be a good idea for Kaepernick to be on their team. Andrew Luck has been injured, hasn't been practicing. So this sports writer, genius that he is, a columnist, says Indiana should sign Kaepernick. And he thank goodness he ends up listening to his audience there in Indiana, because after he says that, they did a poll. It was a Facebook poll by one of the TV stations, WTHR TV. 20,000 people piped into this, probably whenever they talk about 20,000 respondents, it probably was not a scientific poll. Nonetheless, 70.6% of the people do not want the Indiana Colts to hire him. 29.4% said they would sign him. Just a thought process there of what the consumers are thinking. So you might have these people in media, these sportscasters, sports writers coming up with their opinion. Well, just think of this one thing. When you're in the media business, when you're a sports writer, you don't pay to go to a ball game. When you're the consumer, you're the one paying the bill. And when 20,000 people respond and as a 70% of them say, we don't want him, I would highly recommend that the management of the team pay heed to what the people want, because they are the ones paying the bill. They are the ones that'll stay home. They are the ones that'll make their voices heard. Just a thought for you. Speaking of making your voices heard, Amazon in the news, but maybe not the way you thought about it. If you think about this one, I got a list here that came across my desk. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's all due to Amazon. 5 retailers that may not survive the year. Well, one of them is pretty obvious. Sears Holdings, probably not going to make it. Now, we know that Eddie Lampert didn't really buy Sears or Kmart or any of those for the retail stores. He wanted the real estate. But Sears Holdings looks like they may not make it for the year. Sears Hometown and Outlet Stores, they may not make it for the year. And I don't know about this one. I've never heard this store, and I'm not a shopper. Bon-Ton Stores may not make it this year. Cons, I don't know how you have a name that's called Cons and expect people to go there. Payless may not make the year. So these are all stores that may not make the year. And obviously, we don't even want to talk about Wells Fargo because they're in the news again today also. But we'll talk about that one a little later. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, wire fraud in real estate. Where do you get wire fraud in real estate? We'll figure it out. We'll talk about it. We might also chat about how long most families stay in their home. I wonder if they're talking about during football season or not football. Oh, we'll talk about that also. What is credit card fraud? How to avoid it? And how to save money on food when you live alone. We'll talk about all that and more. You can reach us anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Connect with us. Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. On Twitter, @Ron Siegel. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey, and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Did you know that banks and credit bureaus are rewarded financially if you have bad credit? And the worse your credit score is, the more money they can make off of you? How does that make you feel, knowing that banks are getting rich off of your hard-earned money? How does it make you feel, knowing that if a bank or a credit bureau makes a mistake on your credit report, they benefit from it and it hurts you? The Fair Credit Report Act of 1971 requires banks and credit bureaus to report only accurate information, and nearly 100% of all credit reports are inaccurate. If you're sick and tired of being broke and tired of being robbed by the banks, you owe it to yourself and to your family to call Rondi. Rondi is a FICO-certified credit professional and has helped thousands of people just like you get out of debt and establish great credit. Rondi's number is 855-608-1990. Again, that's 855-608-1990. Or visit creditsanitizer.com. Again, that website is creditsanitizer.com.
Are you a veteran, own a home, and need money? The Siegel Lending Team is here to help veterans refinance and get the money they need. The VA 100 lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value, refinance your mortgages, consolidate credit cards, and lower your payments by an average of $700 a month. And the Siegel Lending Team knows that that character means more than a credit score. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Rates subject to change without notice. Licensed by the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 21037, and DRE number 018694452.
Are you a veteran, police officer, firefighter, doctor, nurse, or teacher? If so, you qualify as one of Ron Siegel's VIP heroes, and we have rewards up to $5,000 or $10,000 when you buy, sell, or refinance a home with one of the Ron Siegel radio partners. As one of the heroes, real estate agents will rebate part of their commission, lending partners will give a credit at closing, the title company has special published rates, and many other service providers have incentives too. All you need to do is call Ron Siegel Radio at 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit VIPHeroProgram.com. Just think about what you will do with all the rebates and incentives from the partners of Ron Siegel Radio. Just call us at 800-306-1990 so we can show you our appreciation for your service.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That's my message, and as your consumer advocate, I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Good morning, Joanne. Good morning, Robin. Glad to see you with us this morning. We are checking out, we do monitor our Facebook live stream. So if you got questions or comments, we try to address whatever we can through there as well. And we certainly appreciate everybody who shares the information or shares our feed. So we can get this information. We hope that you appreciate the information. We try to get out the best possible information each day. The real-time real estate segment today is being brought to you by the area trusted real estate professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. Text NEST, N-E-S-T, to 79564. Find your dream home before someone else does. And if you want, it's a little secret, just between you and me. Don't tell anybody that I offered this. But if you would like, after you've gone in and get registered on NEST, N-E-S-T, to 79564, drop me a quick note and say you want the text message of every sale in your neighborhood. As soon as it sells, you want a text message knowing what the sales price was. My team doesn't like it when I offer that, but it's just between you and me, so don't worry about it. We're not going to tell anybody this morning that I offered that to you. Just go ahead and it'll be a surprise when I start getting all your messages. How long do most families stay in their home is the question. The National Association of Realtors, they have historical data on many aspects of home ownership. One of the data points that has changed dramatically is the median tenure of a family in a home. That translates into how long a family stays in a home prior to moving. Now, I'm going to put a graph up over 20 years, 1985 to 2008. The median tenure averaged exactly 6 years. However, since 2008, that averages almost 9 years, an increase of 50%. Why the dramatic increase is the question. Well, the reasons for this change, a lot of them. The fall in home prices during the housing crisis left many homeowners in a negative equity situation. Also, the uncertainty of the economy made some homeowners much more fiscally conservative about making a move. With home prices rising dramatically over the last several years, 93.9% of homes with a mortgage are now in a positive equity situation, with 78.8% of them having at least 20% equity, according to CoreLogic. With the economy coming back, wages starting to increase, many homeowners are in a much better financial situation than they were just a few short years ago. One other reason for the increase was brought to light by the National Association of Realtors in their 2017 Home Buyer and Seller Generational Trends Report. The report's longer than the name even, so if you want the report, just let me know. According to the report, quote, sellers 36 years and younger stayed in their homes for 6 years, unquote. These homeowners are either looking for more space to accommodate their growing families, better school districts, more likely to move. Homeownership rate among young families, however, has still not caught up to previous generations. I'm going to put this whole report out there. The bottom line, if you're thinking about moving, give me a call, 800-306-1990. Your team over at Gold Star will get you that fast pass approval. Forget about loan pre-approvals anymore. That is old story. That's old news. You get the fast pass approval. Then when you talk to a great real estate agent, they just check box J4 on the California Residential Purchase Agreement. No loan contingencies. That is the Real-Time Real Estate segment, again, brought to you by the area trusted real estate professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. Text NEST, N-E-S-T, to 79564. Find your dream home before someone else does. And yes, we are fortunate enough to have a great real estate professional in our midst, and it's not me. Good morning, Lisa.
Good morning, Ron. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. You probably know about all these reports. You're very active in National Association of Realtors, California Association of Realtors.
I'm going to be an NAR director again next year, which is actually pretty cool because we only get 6 in our association, and we are, I think maybe 9th largest in the country. So it's a pretty big honor.
So you have 6 directors out of
13,000 members for our association.
Wow.
Yeah, and I sit on the Federal Finance and Housing Committee at National Association of Realtors, and that's 40 agents from around the country. So
you know what's going on. Or you wait.
I kind of think I do.
Wait. I don't know, because you're involved in all this politics stuff now, and you and I both, I think, agree that sometimes politicians are a little goofy.
A little goofy? Did you see the pictures of John Morlock giving me a nuggie?
No, I didn't see that.
Oh, gotta go check it out on the Facebook page.
Okay, I'm gonna definitely check that one out.
I gave him one back too.
Okay, so at least you're having fun though.
Gotta keep these guys in line one way or another.
So wire fraud, there's really wire fraud going on?
Oh my gosh, this is a huge problem. Huge problem. And it's one that's people don't like to talk about because it's rampant out there, and agents that have been hit don't want to really say, oh my gosh, somehow my system got breached. I'll admit, my system got breached back in 2015, and I was very fortunate, from being connected at the state and national level. I get to intermingle with people that are, the higher ups at companies, and kind of hear what's going on more from a management standpoint. And I was having lunch with a couple of good friends, and they were talking about, situations that were happening within their brokerage where money, one was, I think, $2.2 million disappeared. And who owns the property now? Where's the transaction going to go? The seller thinks that they sold it, but they didn't, and the buyer thought that they bought it, and they didn't, and the agents thought that they had a transaction, and now they don't, and everything can just blow up in a matter of seconds. And from the time that it happened to me in 2015, they've gotten so sophisticated, and we'll talk about a few things.
The crooks? The crooks.
And
Joanne's saying on Facebook that she had it happen, or somebody in her office also.
Oh, happens over 100 times a day, according to the FBI, when I called them to report
100 times a day?
Yeah. And that was 2015. Things have gotten much worse. And I was very fortunate that I knew about the situation. I counseled my client up front and told him, if you get different wiring instructions, don't do anything. If they come to you by email, don't do anything with them. Call me. And what happened?
How are they supposed to come if they're not coming by email?
An agent doesn't need them. I don't need wiring instructions.
Okay, that makes sense.
The escrow company to the client should be the only link for wiring instructions. However, a lot of agents still say, well, I want to, give the wiring instructions to my client. Well, for $15, you can go to an email aggregator site and say, I want to buy every email address that has real estate in it, whether it's RE, real estate, realty, whatever, and they get hundreds of thousands for $15.
So
and then they dive into your computer.
So then it just becomes a numbers game. It's the old Nigeria thing.
Exactly, and they send out very, very sophisticated phishing emails, and for those of you that don't know what that is, it's one that looks like a legitimate email, usually like Dropbox, or they got really good on DocuSign, that it looks exactly like something that DocuSign would send out with an attachment, and you click the attachment, boom, they are in your computer. And they're reading everything you do. You want to feel violated? Find out that you've had somebody sitting in your computer reading every email that you have. And what they're waiting for is something to come along that will trigger a need for money to be wired. And it used to be down payments not exclusively, but that was, that's the big money. You're going for big money on a down payment. They have gotten more sophisticated now. They're intercepting deposits. They're going into an agent's email and seeing that they're having a communication with another agent. There's a transaction being negotiated, because we do it by email, so we have a record of what went on. And as soon as they see that a deal's been struck, they will insert themselves between the buyer's agent and the buyer and say, hey, congratulations, they accepted our offer, we're opening escrow, here's wiring instructions, send your $15,000 deposit to this. Escrow hasn't even been opened yet.
Sure.
And they're getting money like that.
Interesting. Okay, so as a buyer or a seller, I mean, what we want to do, I guess, now, then, if they're getting into that middle, that early in the transaction, what are we going to do? So we're going to chat with Lisa Dunn when we come back. How do we solve the problem? What's the recommendation here to solve this problem of wire fraud? Because everybody's using DocuSign more and more. We're using, in fact, in many areas, we look to see how much more we can do in DocuSign because it is so efficient. We look to see how much more we can do by email because it's so much more efficient. But if we start having the fraud coming into it, how is efficiency any value? So we're going to talk more about that with Lisa Dunn when we come back. How do we beat the system? How do we beat the crooks? That's what we want to know, what we want to understand. We'll also talk about credit card fraud, how to avoid that one, and how to save money on food when you live alone. All that and more. You can reach us anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Connect with us. Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. On Twitter, @Ron Siegel. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, shame on you. But the replay is available. Ron Siegel 1, Ron Siegel, the numeral 1, on YouTube. Nearly 7 million people have watched replays right there. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Siegel Lending Team offers you buying power. Let's say you can afford a monthly mortgage payment, including principal and interest, of around $1,900. With today's rate on a 30-year fixed mortgage of 3.75%, APR 3.85%, that payment could support a $416,000 mortgage. But if you wait and rates tick up to around 6.5%, which is roughly the average home mortgage rate over the past 30 years, that same $1,900 mortgage payment, including principal and interest, may only be able to support a $314,000 mortgage. That's over $100,000 worth of home you're missing out on by waiting. That's buying power. All you need to do to get started is reach out to the Siegel Lending Team at 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Or visit SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Payment example excludes taxes and insurance. Call us for full details, 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990 or SiegelLendingTeam.com. Equal housing lender, licensed under NMLS number 217037.
Are you purchasing or own a luxury home? If you're like so many others, your home is your largest asset and the mortgage is your largest debt. The Siegel Lending Team has some amazing financing opportunities right now. Jumbo loans up to $2 million, 30-year rates below 4%, 15-year rates near 3.5%, and if you can believe it, 7-year interest-only hybrids in low 3s. The Siegel Lending Team has all the options for your jumbo or second home loan requirements. Take advantage of them while you can. To learn more about all the other financing products available from the Siegel Lending Team, call 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Again, call 1-800-306-1990. Rates subject to change without notice. Licensed by NMLS ID 217037 and 145502. Equal housing lender.
Homeowners that are 62 and older are about to find out a great way to live a better retirement. It's called a reverse mortgage, and SLT can help you learn more. Call the Siegel Lending Team at 800-306-1990 right now to receive your free booklet with no obligation. It answers questions like how a reverse mortgage works, how much you qualify for, the ways to receive your money, and more. When you call the experts at Siegel Lending Team today, you'll learn the benefits of a government-insured reverse mortgage, how it will eliminate your monthly mortgage payments, and give you tax-free cash from the equity in your home. Here's the best part. You still own your home. Now is the best time to take control of your retirement. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990 to get your free brochure. Call today or visit our website at SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com, or simply call 800-306-1990.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That's my message, and as your consumer advocate, I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Your Credit Matters segment today being brought to you by CreditSanitizer.com. You have a credit report. It is wrong. What are you doing about it? Credit Sanitizer, they're the solution, and we will be having a big announcement on a new partnership on our credit repair. You'll still be able to go to Credit Sanitizer. It'll take you right there, but we're going to have a book with do-it-yourself tools for credit repair, or if you're lazy like me and you just want someone else to do it, you have that opportunity as well. What is credit card fraud and how to avoid it? Well, we've been talking, that's been our theme this morning is fraud. Credit card fraud, also known as credit fraud, broadly describes the theft of credit or banking information. Thieves use the information to make fraudulent transactions or obtain funds that do not belong to them. Though the term only names credit cards, it includes fraudulent debit card usage as well. I like this new app that I've seen coming out from one of the big banks where you can actually turn your card off if you don't remember where it is or you think you've lost it. I did just see that Cash App is something new I've been exploring recently, where you can actually, instead of giving out your debit card, if you're one of those people that like to use a debit card instead of a credit card, it kind of puts a bridge in between using your debit card directly. So if you have Bank of America or Chase or Wells or whoever, instead of when you go to dinner, instead of giving them your debit card, you give them your Cash App card, and then that will go to your bank. It works the same way, but it's got a buffer in between, so you're really not giving anybody full access to your bank account. Credit card fraud, though, it's pretty simple nowadays, especially with all of the junk mail that we get. I'm a big proponent of doing, now Lisa may have me going the other way now, because I've been a big proponent of getting rid of snail mail, not getting my statements in the mail, because it's easy for people to go and steal your mail from your mailbox. So if you send out a check by mail, are you putting it in the mailbox to go? Is it getting stolen there? I like to do it bank to bank. Some of those are the different ways. Take a look at some of your credit cards. I know that they came out with that little chip that is on your credit card, our credit card. It's supposed to stop fraud, but here's the issue there. I had an opportunity to chat with a gentleman that invented the magnetic strip on the back of our credit cards. He invented that years and years, decades ago. Well, the one big benefit of that is there's no energy in it. So the way I understand it, if somebody's walking by you, they can get the information off your chip. They can't get it off the magnetic strip. So be careful. There's a lot of different areas on here. If you have encountered credit card fraud, call your bank, your issuer, right away. Make sure you dispute it. You've got to be looking at your statements. It's not that difficult online anymore to look at your statements or to look at your transactions and watch that. Make sure, the other issue here, make sure you're teaching this to your kids, because I promise you nowadays they are not learning anything about this in school. They know how to swipe right. That's about the extent of it. Maybe it's swipe left. I don't understand that stuff. But they're not being taught how to balance a checkbook. They're not being taught how to balance a credit card statement. None of these things are being taught in school. It's up to us as the parents to do these things. That is the Your Credit Matters segment, again, brought to you by creditsanitizer.com. So we've been talking about earlier in the last segment, we were talking with Lisa Dunn, Casabella Realty, about wire fraud in real estate. And you know what, Lisa, when you talk about wire fraud or credit card fraud, in most instances, we're talking about, maybe you've got a $500, $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 limit on your credit card.
And on real estate,
there's no limit.
That's right. You can take somebody's life savings that is coming up with that 20% down payment, and that can just be gone.
Right. And I'm seeing this more and more. And I don't know why it's not more prevalent. Almost in the escrow companies, when I see some of the documentation coming from escrow companies, there's usually and what I'm seeing more and more is a big red line or red statement under the escrow officer's signature, warning about wire fraud and warning about these issues. Not seeing that as much from realtors, though.
Well, that's because the bulk of it does take place somewhere between the escrow officer or the escrow process and can be the buyer during the transaction, can be the seller at the end of the transaction when they're getting their proceeds.
Sure.
So, they're doing a lot to bring it up. We have a wire fraud advisory, but you're getting hit with so much paperwork that nobody's really reading that. And what we're working on, actually I'm working with Debbie Peters at the Orange County Escrow Association. She's the president there. And her and I are going to be doing some joint projects trying to get the real estate agents and the escrow officers working safer, shall we say.
Sure.
Because there's a lot of escrow officers out there that are not doing the best practices. They, the smaller ones where they're not getting out and getting trade, they're not working with the trade association. They think, oh, well, I know what I'm doing, but they don't understand what's happening out there.
They don't know the market as well because they're in their bubble. They do
exactly
know
right.
They know escrow very well, but they're not out there like you are, where you're talking to the FBI.
And they're not educating themselves by going to the escrow association meetings and learning what the best practices are.
It just takes too much time. I got a lot of work to do.
Hey, they feed them dinner.
That makes sense. But one of the things, though, one of the areas that I was concerned with when you made the comment that it's happening, and to me, the easiest place for it to happen is going to be from the real estate agent.
Exactly, because most realtors are not using secured encrypted email.
Right.
And they don't want to use their company's email because what if they change companies?
Sure.
They're using Gmail and Yahoo and anything else that's out there. And
I'm sure those companies are spending a lot of money. I mean, I don't know any, there's no real estate company in America that spends as much on technology as Google does.
Exactly.
Right? So
exactly.
But the issue is you have to learn these practices, and I think it's got to almost start, the way I look at it, is the first point of contact in many instances. If the crooks are going to put themselves in the transaction before escrow is opened, the educator has to be before escrow.
Exactly. And Debbie and I are going to be working on in the next few months ways that we can educate realtors, start talking to them when they go to new member orientation, so they're learning this right out of the gate, that they need to be aware that their email can be hacked. People think, oh, I have Apple products, I'm going to be safe, that whole leftover thing about, you're not going to get viruses. Well, you're going to get hacked.
Sure.
And you can get hacked easy. And if you have Apple, they can read your text messages too. Because if you have everything set up where everything cross-pollinates, you think you're having the secret conversation, well, guess what? They're in your computer. They're reading what's going on. They're into your calendar. When I got hacked, they knew when to do it because they knew I couldn't be reached because I was in meetings that day. And they impersonated me. They basically took over my email account. They had read everything that I had written to this one client.
Wow.
They knew the cadence of my speech. They knew how I communicated. And then they set up an email account, probably had one letter off, something real small off that you wouldn't normally catch.
Sure.
And
which is simple nowadays because it can just say Lisa Dunn, but it might be Lisa Dunn at Yahoo instead of Lisa Dunn at Gmail or whatever you use.
yeah, or it could be, two I's instead of, one I in Lisa. And my clients communicating with these people, 7 emails they communicated back and forth, gained his trust that they were talking, he was talking to me. And I'm sitting in a meeting.
And they had background information because they've read all the emails in the past between you and that client. They've read streams.
Exactly.
Big issue.
Oh, huge issue. And he was very fortunate. He initiated his wire transfer. They have a cutoff that's based on East Coast time, and you would know this as your lender, that, after 2:30 or whatever,
right.
pretty much, 3:30 is a miracle that you can get a wire transfer out. Well, he had initiated his around 3 o'clock, and it didn't go till the next day. And as soon as he finished doing it, he sat there and said, "Oh my gosh, I just did what Lisa told me not to do." He got the wiring instructions saying that there was a change, and here it is, and he went and wired it. And what should have really tipped him off was the message didn't look like it came from me now. It had the bad grammar, improper capitalization. Somebody
sure.
in another country
now
is putting this together, and he fell for it, but we were able to stop it by getting on the phone with the fraud line.
And that's a lot of luck because once a federal funds wire transfer goes out, there's no pulling those back.
Well, they say that you can try to stop it is kind of like having a stroke. You got your golden hour, right?
Right.
If you figure it out immediately, yeah, you can probably, there's a good chance you can stop it, but the more time that goes by, once you've hit 3 days, you're gone. Or the first 24 hours, it's not. It's
very, very difficult because generally the only reason that they're stopped is not because that you can stop it really. The reason that it's stopped is because generally the big bank that you're dealing with wasn't real efficient and they hadn't sent it yet. And once it hits that send button on the Federal Reserve and the Federal Reserve is opened, which is another issue, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
And I think that they're going to start doing these things earlier because a lot of the crooks, they're looking for a lot of singles. They figure that if they can get that earnest money deposit, which is early, it's a smaller amount, right? But if they can get the $10,000 10 times, it's easier than getting one for 100.
Exactly.
Because the 100,000 that's at the end of the transaction, now you should have gotten an email from the escrow company if they're doing their job properly, saying, please call to confirm escrow wiring instructions. You taught me that. I've been using that ever since you were on, and we chatted about this once before. Wiring instructions should not, you can get those instructions in writing, but they should always, 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 and if I miss saying this, always call the escrow officer and confirm that you've got the right wiring instructions. Takes an extra 10 minutes, but boy, is 10 minutes of your time worth maybe $200,000 going to the wrong place? Just a thought for you. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. Talking about fraud today. Fraud in credit cards, fraud in real estate, wire fraud. How do we avoid it? How do we educate you? That's my mission on Ron Siegel Radio all the time, is educating you. Because the information that Lisa and I are sharing, you could find it on Google. I promise you. You may not know where to find it. That's why we want to bring it to your attention right now. And you can reach us anytime, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com, facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio, Twitter @Ron Siegel. Stay tuned. We will be back in just a few.
Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Most businesses struggle to get the online reviews they need to get a competitive edge over their competition. Rex is a brand new technology that uses text messages to direct happy clients to your online review sites.
Zillow, Google, Facebook, and Yelp, and unhappy clients to a private survey so businesses can win more customers. Try Rex today by going to www.meetrex.com.
Are you currently renting a home? Do you like paying someone else's mortgage payment? Why not explore the options to purchase your own home? Can you imagine a 30-year fixed-rate loan below 4.25% APR? This means with $10,500, you can purchase a $295,000 home and have a principal and interest payment of about $1,400 per month. What are you paying in rent? Does your family deserve the opportunity to take advantage of the current market? To learn more about these exciting opportunities, the Siegel Lending Team is standing by to speak with you. Call now, 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Or 1-800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by NMLS ID 217037 and 145502. Equal housing lender. Not endorsed or sponsored by any government agency.
Do you have a goal of mortgage-free home ownership? What if your home was valued at $500,000? Are you aware that a free and clear home could be costing you $2,500 every month, $30,000 per year? The mortgage planners at the Siegel Lending Team would like to show you how you can own your home, generate tax-free income, and accumulate family wealth. You simply need to call the Ron Siegel Team at 1-800-306-1990. That is 1-800-306-1990. By sending the team a copy of your most recent mortgage statement, the team will send you a no-obligation real estate plan. You be the judge if this is right for your family. Again, all you have to do is send the team a copy of your mortgage statement by email to reap@ronsiegelradio.com or call today. Ron Siegel, 1-800-306-1990. That is 1-800-306-1990.
Rate subject to change and without notice. Licensed by the California DOC and BRE NMLS 217037 and 145502 and Cal BRE 0186945 and 1866775.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That's my message, and as your consumer advocate, I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990. 800-306-1990. Word on Wealth segment today being brought to you by Gold Star Mortgage. They are the only one that I know of that has the Fast Pass loan approval. Fast Pass loan approval, no more pre-approvals required when you've got the Fast Pass. The underwriter has already reviewed the file. Now you're going to still have to get an appraisal. You're going to have to get title cleared. You know, whatever the contract says, you got to follow the rules of the contract. But pre-approvals, really when you think about it, anybody that knows what they're doing in lending can make a pre-approval say whatever they want it to say, to be honest with you. DU approval, the automated approval, you can make that say whatever you want it to say, whenever you want it to say it. It's all garbage in, garbage out, or if you just put, it's real simple. It's another one of those kind of myths out there. But when you've got the Fast Pass approval, you're good to go because you're not going to even have a loan contingency. How to save money on food when you live alone? That is the subject today. I'd like to save a little bit of money in the Word on Wealth segment today. Shop with a friend or family member. You can go to the big box stores, the Costco's, the Sam's Clubs, and get the big packages. You know, maybe you don't need 20 cans of corn or however many come in a box of those things. But if you go with a friend or family member, well, maybe there's a little bit of savings there. You kind of split that one down the middle. Meal plans. Decide on some of the meal plans, and some of the communities are great. Some of the communities do some wonderful things with their food programs. Having a meal plan helps ensure all the groceries you need are purchased. That's the idea of getting it all at one time. That way you might be able to use some of the turkey meat this week and some, or today, and some of it tomorrow, whatever you're doing. I know even with having, heck, I've got 3 boys living in the house with us. You know, and that's, I call them the garbage disposals. You know, sometimes Mindy will make a few pounds of turkey and thinks it's going to last more than just a day. Utilize a freezer. You know, you can buy some of the bigger packages. I love Costco. They've got the chicken where you just tear a package off and you can use 1 pack and the rest goes in the freezer. Create a budget. Learn from past purchases. Host a monthly potluck. Repurpose the leftovers. And yes, check the deals. I know my grandfather used to love coupons. I still go out and use coupons. Buy versatile foods. Go meatless. And keep track of the expiration dates. Always have condiments and spices. You don't want to go out and have to buy those at the last minute. Limit ordering takeout. That's a big one to save on your budget. Don't do that takeout too often. Buy frozen or canned. Use cash back credit cards. All some ways to save money on food when you live alone. That's the Word on Wealth segment. Again, brought to you by our friends at Gold Star Mortgage. Continuing our conversation this morning, Lisa Dunn is with us, Casabella Realty. We've talked about wire fraud in real estate. We had one solution. Obviously, you know me, and I'm all about solving the problem. Doesn't do me a whole lot of good. I mean, bringing the problem up to you is one issue. Letting you know that there is a problem. Now the question becomes, is it a problem with or without a solution? So Lisa, we talked about the idea of that simple phone call. Now, you were talking about phishing before, phishing, not trout or salmon. But
are you talking about the angels?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry.
Exactly.
Couldn't resist.
Absolutely. So, DocuSign I saw is one recently that we've seen. They've been a target where some of the hackers and the phishers are using something that looks exactly like DocuSign.
And DocuSign was really good about getting out in front of that too. And they were sending emails saying, we are not doing this. Be very careful. Don't open anything. And one of the things that we talked about was hovering your cursor over an email address to see who it really came from. Because you can mask the name. Like it can say Lisa Dunn, but then if you hover over it, on your email,
sure,
it's going to actually show where it came from, or show details, and take that second before you open anything that just does not look right, even if it's something from your friend, because your friend's computer could be hacked, a relative's computer could be hacked. If it just doesn't look right, just check to see where it came from.
Take a little extra time. I'm looking at one right now, Lisa. I swear that I just went into my spam folder on my computer, and I would swear this is probably one of those phishing things because it says 1-800-DENTIST offer. Mm-hmm. And when I go down and do exactly what you just said, US 2009 at app.topica.com.
Exactly.
Has nothing to do with dentistry.
Has nothing to do with it. Wouldn't it make sense if it came from info@1-800-dentist.com?
Right.
That might be kind of legit if you really want to go find a dentist that way. Hey, great. But,
right.
You got to do the due diligence and really just take the second to check. And also realize that if you're like at free Wi-Fi locations, that's when people can hop on to your computer and kind of look and see what you're doing, so avoid using free Wi-Fi.
So I shouldn't go sit over at Starbucks today and work?
I probably wouldn't really do any heavy financials.
Okay.
And something else to keep in mind is you need to update your computer and your phone operating systems on a regular basis, because a lot of these malwares that can get in and the way that the hackers can get in is actually, a hacker can go online and go buy these old virus programs or, ransom programs or whatever they use out there in hackerland, and they get them real cheap. And if you don't have a current operating system on your computer, then you're vulnerable to those old school attacks. And Microsoft and Apple, they are on this stuff. If they're saying you need an update, hey, guess what? We all know it's a pain.
It takes a lot of time.
Back up your stuff and then do an update to your operating system. And then they're going to have the latest security things going on in those programs. And your computer is going to be a heck of a lot safer.
I know we saw one of those just recently where they talked about that. And I'm one of those that I've always, until just recently, I would wait a few days just to let somebody else get all the bugs out of them.
Exactly. But there's people that haven't updated their operating systems for years.
Right.
And also with passwords, too. People keep the same password. They'll use the same password for everything.
And don't use the word password as the password.
Don't do that. No.
I think that is still the number one password in America.
It's amazing.
Password.
Yeah. And what you're going to want to do is come up with complicated ones. And you're going to want different ones for different things. Any banking, credit card, any sites like that, come up with something that's more of like a statement, have uppercase, lowercase, symbols, whatever you can get away with, and change them.
Right, that's
on a
biggie
regular
right
basis, because that's going to keep people, out of your computer. You're too hard. That's
the whole issue right there,
Exactly.
Lisa. I think that's the biggie right there. Is a lot of these folks are. They're going to go to the easy target.
Yeah, they're going to go to the easy target. And your email password, should be changed. It should be a complicated password. A lot of people use those, one password things where all of your passwords for all of your accounts are locked into a program. Hey, guess what? They can hack that.
Okay, I guess I better get rid of that last pass because that's what I use.
Yeah, and those just, these people out here are very, very smart. They are very smart.
Well, that's their job. They're doing this all day long, every day, and they're focused on it. They're focused more on stealing your stuff than you are on keeping your stuff. We're going to continue this conversation offline, but if you want more information, go on. We got all the information. We got this conversation going right now. Facebook Live, Ron Siegel Radio right there. So go ahead and continue if you got questions there. We'll be monitoring that. But set that first radio preset button to come back here every day to join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. A big thanks to Steve, who's engineering us today. And, of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or meet any of our guests, call me anytime, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. And remember, make a lot of money, help a lot of people, have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.